Well, one hero of the Revolutionary War that you may not have heard about is Peter Francisco, known as the Virginia Giant. And the actor playing him in a new film is quite a big guy himself.
Actor and producer Brian Patrick Wade is known for playing a big guy with his roles on shows like Big Bang Theory and Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After entertaining audiences for years, Brian chose to move out of L.A. to get away from what he says is the darkness that comes out of Hollywood. Today, he is using his acting skills to positively influence people's lives. In his latest role, Brian plays the real-life American Revolution hero, Peter Francisco, also known as the Virginia Giant in the short film Luso.
Please welcome to the 700 Club, Brian Patrick Wade. It's wonderful to have you here.
It's so great to be here. Thank you.
You spent 15 years working in Los Angeles and in the middle of Hollywood. We hear all kinds of things about the challenge of that. Tell me about what that was like for you.
Well, first of all, I'll say that Hollywood gave me a lot. In the scope of it helped me achieve a lot of dreams. But in the midst of that, it also makes you cling to your faith, right? So it is challenging as a Christian to I guess be in the middle of a lot of darkness a lot of times. But also it gave me an opportunity to talk about my faith, show my faith, be the light on set that I always hoped and wished that I could be.
Well, so, God uses it all.
Yes,
right?
That's right.
So why did you leave?
Like you said, I'd been there 15 years and had done a lot of work. But I'd kind of gotten to a point where I missed my family. For one, they were all on the East Coast, which is where I'm originally from. I needed a break. Needed a little, I guess, get away. And I felt like if it was still in the plan for me to continue acting, that he would provide a way. And what was funny about that is I hadn't worked probably in 8 months prior to leaving, maybe even a year, close to that. And I decided to leave LA. And I just said, God, if I move back, you're gonna have to open the doors, because I'm out of the centralness of it all now. And so I ended up moving back with my wife to Charlotte, right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. And 3 months later, I get a call from my agents, and Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wanted me back on for the 5th season, and I ended up doing 9 episodes. So as it would have it, I was living there in LA, not working at all, and then I decided to leave LA, move my wife to the South, who had never been to the South at all. Big culture shock, and then 3 months later, I'm like, all right, honey, well, I got to go back to LA for 9 months.
Really smart, because a really wise sign from the Lord that he was opening the door for further things to you. I want to talk about your role in the film Luso that we're talking about, Luso. But let's take a look at a clip first so folks know what we're talking about.
The year 1776. The world's strongest army sailed the Atlantic Ocean in order to crush the rebellion, and the arduous fight for freedom began.
We need the Virginia Giant!
But God had a plan for one Luso warrior. Without him, we would have lost 2 crucial battles, perhaps the war, and with it, our freedom.
Scratch my good arm.
So, a significant man in the history of our country. You're gone for 8 months. Or you hadn't worked there for 8 months. You're gone for a while. How did you get this role? How did it come out of the blue?
This has not been out of the blue. So I've been working on this for 8 years. Now how I met Travis Bowman.
Nothing in Hollywood is ever out of the blue.
That's right. It is never out of the blue. And if you hear that story, they're lying, because it's not out of the blue. So I met Travis Bowman, my producing partner, who's actually Peter Francisco is his famous ancestor. So he had written a book called Luso, the Giant of the American Revolution. We got put in touch because he wanted to make this into a film. And at this time, he was going to a men's camp called Battle Ready here on the East Coast. And Battle Ready was ran by my old youth pastor, David Tarkington. So him and David became good buddies. They start chit-chatting, and Travis tells him about Luso and how he needs a big actor to play this character, but he doesn't want a really well-known actor. And So anyways, David Tarkington said, well, one of my old youths, he's in LA and he's doing really well, and he's a big guy. You should look him up. So that's how we got in contact, and that was 8 years ago.
Wow.
So we got to work, and really the last 6 years we have been grinding on this, and now we just feel like we've produced the short, and we are so passionate about getting this out, especially now. Our nation's 250th anniversary is right around the corner, 2026.
Perfect timing.
So this is going to be a 9-episode miniseries, hopefully culminating on the 9th episode of a 2-hour theatrical release. July 4th, 2026 is our hope and our goal. And it's to shift culture back to center, back to right. So the whole focus of this miniseries, Peter Francisco, is to show my son, who's 2, and hopefully all of our other young people out there that masculinity is not toxic
To raise up a
if it's done the right way, and it's protective, it's strong, it makes the right choices no matter the circumstances all the time. So that's our hope.
So tell me about this Peter Francisco. I've lived in Virginia for 30-some years. I have no idea who this is, and all of us on the floor here kind of said,
yeah.
Who is that?
It's wild, right? So this guy
wild.
is bigger than life. He's 6'6", 260 pounds.
Wow.
And back then, I mean, he stood a foot and a half
Heads
taller
above,
than the average man. So the reason we don't know about him here, he was Portuguese heritage, and he was a slave.
Wow.
So he wasn't written about in our history books, but there are monuments up and down the East Coast that stand in honor of this guy. One of which, there's a plaque with a direct quote from General George Washington that says, without him, we would have lost 2 pivotal battles, and perhaps with it, the war and our freedom.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
So tell me about his faith, because that had a big
Absolutely.
role.
Yeah, so he was left for dead on the battlefield 2 times. And without his faith and being a man of God, he would have never made it through this. Wow. So we want to show that. We want to show the American Revolution through the eyes of a giant hero who did the right things all the time, no matter what, and really what this country was founded on. Biblical principles.
Take us back to who we are.
That's right.
Really.
That's right.
So here he is. He's a 2-time giant in war in behalf of our country. What about when the war was over? What happened in his life?
When he ended up becoming, he fell in love with a wealthy plantation owner's daughter, which in that day and age, he was a slave, was forbidden love.
Wow.
And when he got back from the war, he didn't know how to read and write, but he got given a lot of land. That's how they were paid in those days. So he had all this land, and this daughter, Susanna Anderson, actually was told you can't be with her. So he ended up going to school with kindergartners, learned how to read and write, won the hand of his love. They end up getting married. He ends up serving in the Virginia Senate here.
Oh, my word.
And still to this day, when he passed away, it was the longest funeral, and still is, the longest funeral procession ever held in the state of Virginia. And the state of Virginia actually celebrates Peter Francisco Day. So it's really amazing to have a whole floor of people who have no idea here in Virginia who it is.
I guess we need to see the movie.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We need to educate everyone, especially here. That's right.
So 9-part miniseries and then the 2-hour movie? That's
so
the plan?
it'll be 8 episodes, hopefully culminating
In
the
the
9th episode with a 2-hour theatrical release on our nation's birthday, 250th anniversary, July 4th.
Timing is everything.
That's right.
God's got a way of doing that.
That's right. Thank
Just
you.
want to say to all of you, for more information on the life of Peter Francisco and the upcoming Luso miniseries, all you have to do is go to luso.tv, and you can also watch the film Luso there. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Brian.
thank you, Terry,
Thank you
for
for
having
what
me.
you're doing. Thank you for coming today. Great to have you here.